All right, so we're on 3.2e, solving polynomial equations by factoring, okay? This is what it's all been building up to, guys. Part one of this is we're going to solve quadratics. So quadratics means that we're dealing with anything in the terms of ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Those are our quadratics. So that's what we're starting off with. So part one is solving quadratic equations by factoring. Got it? All right. So our first problem that you're going to write down, example one, we have 5x times x minus 15 equals 0. Okay, so we have 5x times x minus 15 equals 0. Okay, there are technically 5 steps, but I start with steps. I call the first step 0. Okay, the reason why I call the first step 0 is because step 0 is you want to make sure that it's equal to 0. Okay, step 0 is you want to make sure that the equation is equal to 0. Okay, we know that it's an equation because there's an equal sign. Does that make sense? Okay. What we've been working with are expressions. So we've been working with polynomial expressions because we haven't had an equal sign until today. Okay. So step 0 is to make sure that it's equal to 0. If it is not equal to 0, then we have to make it equal to 0. Does that make sense? Okay. And now step 1 is you want to make sure that it is factored. Is the polynomial factored? And for this problem, is it factored? Yes, we are good to go. It was factored by GCF. Do you see that? 5x is pulled out, and you're left with x minus 15. GCF factored. Okay. Step 2 is to separate the factors and set them equal to 0.
Wait, is it 3.1e?
2e, 3.2e. Okay, so we separate and set equal to 0. So this is one factor, and this is the other factor. Do we see that? So we're going to take 5x and set it equal to 0. And we're going to take x minus 15 and set it equal to 0.
Wait,
So
is that a 0 and 3
yeah, I got weird.
at the top?
Yes, step 0.
Oh.
Step 0 is it has to equal 0. Step 3 is you're going to solve. Solve for x. Okay. So what do I need to do here to solve for x? 5 times x equals 0. So divide. And anything, 0 divided by anything is what? 0. So my first answer is x equals 0. Yes. Okay. What do I need to do to solve the other one?
Wait, what's asking first, that x minus 15 is a 0 or that 5x? Like,
We divide by 5. 5x equals 0.
where did that minus 15?
It says to separate your factors and equal to 0. So we separate.
Like,
So this was the problem. It's already in factored form. We separate
so
the factors.
left side, the 5x is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a greater than or equal to 10.
This is an equal sign?
No, the one equal sign.
Oh, my equal sign got weird. This is equal. Okay. All right. On here, what do I need to do to get x by itself? Add 15. So we get x equals 15.
Wait. Is that our answer? Like both of those?
Mhm.
Okay, so will we write that 0, 15 or just x equals 0?
X equals 0, x equals 15. Okay. All steps, our last and final step is to check yourself. Okay. So if I was to check myself, I can do it out loud or I can write it down, right? So I can, if I'm writing it down, I would be plugging in 0 into the original problem and seeing if I get 0. 5 times 0 times 0 minus 15 equals 0. Check. 5 times 15 times 15 minus 15 equals 0. Check. Okay. Again, with equation problems, you shouldn't get them wrong because you have the ability to check your math. That's why when you ask me if you're right, I'm gonna ask, did you plug it in? And if you do not plug it in, then I'm gonna tell you to plug it in and tell me if you're right or wrong. Okay.
I was in algebra 1, we did it like, we have a quadratic equation, like not factored, and then we have to have x thing with like AC. Z.
You had to factor it and then set it equal to 0.
No, they could do it solving like this, and we did like factor and solve like this.
I don't know what you would have did after that.
Yeah, I don't know, it was really weird.
All right, so I would like for you to try and go through the steps. Okay. So remember, 0 is that step 0 is that it needs to equal 0, right? Step 1 is it factored?
So what are the name, like, what is the name of this called?
Solving.
No, but like, either like solving for.
Solving polynomials.
Oh, no. Solving quadratic. Well, this is, wait, can you go back to the first slide there? Like the one,
This the title?
oh, okay, wait.
I was like, it's just the title.
Okay, let me write that. Yeah, solve. Yeah. Wait, Miss, I was writing that equal.
Guys, it's just solving
No,
quadratic. It wasn't a formula, it was an example of a quadratic.
Oh, I was still writing it.
AX squared plus BX plus C. So repeating those same steps. Why do y'all have calculators out?
It's a habit.
It's like,
Let me do this. I got it.
what are you doing with the
Wait.
calculator?
So x equals 0 already, right?
What?
X equals 0 already, because when you separate.
That's
That's for what?
What was that?
Huh?
What was the answer?
0 and 15.
Zero and negative?
0 and positive 15. All right, guys. So again, step 0 is that it needs to equal 0. Check. Step 1 is that it needs to be factored. Is it factored? Check. Step 2 is to separate and set equal to 0. So I'm going to separate the two factors. So I have 2x minus 5 equals 0. And I have x plus 3 equals 0.
Okay.
Step 3 is to solve. So I need to get x by itself. This is middle school 101. How do I get x by itself? Add 5. You're undoing the PEMDAS.
Oh, yeah, so you guys have that.
And then divide.
Okay, wait. So, is it like just because? Oh, no. You got this, Brad.
Okay. All right, on the other separate, I'm going to do what? Minus 3. So we get x equals
Oh,
negative 3.
I knew it. I knew it. So X, not really.
Okay. So step 4 is to either check on paper or check yourself out loud. So if I plug in negative 3, that's going to make this 0. Is it going to make the whole problem equal to 0?
So, yes.
Yes, because 0 times anything is 0. Yes. Because I'm okay with fractions and I understand that 5/2 is the same thing as 2.5.
No, I don't.
No, I was just wondering, because I know like your phone stuff, you have to put it back.
But if the answer choice is 5/2, you need to understand.
What if you don't know?
Huh? Usually you leave it in a fraction and you only put the decimal if it's an exact value decimal. Yeah.
Well, like, Miss,
Yeah.
what about if you don't understand fractions?
Well, think of it in terms of money. If you have $5 and divide by 2 people, how much does each person get? There you go. You understood a fraction. All right. Yeah, I'm great. I need y'all to be good. All right, really quick. Fractions are our friends, and I want you to understand that just because there's a fraction doesn't change anything we just did.
Can I do like the negative b plus or minus 50 bar b minus 4 is the first, right?
Yeah, but why when it's already factored?
I don't know, I'm confused. So.
I mean, you can always use quadratic formula,
Yeah.
but that means you're going to redistribute and then use quadratic instead of just setting equal and using basic math. So why would you want to do more work?
I think simple, more simple like that.
hey, I'm not gonna stop you from redistributing
Yeah,
and then plugging into a formula and then simplifying the formula if that's what your heart tells you to do.
okay, I'll watch some.
I was like, I won't stop you, see.
Get it out of the fraction. This is the.
We're not getting it out of the fraction.
What the?
Yes, it's a fraction. A fraction is the number. Yeah,
Are you sure?
I'm
Oh, so it's just-
100% positive.
so it's just X over positive 2/7.
Yes.
That'll make sense to me.
What's the answer?
2/7 and 1/3.
I'll look at
Add
that
them
with
together.
Nope, separate. All right, so again, follow your steps. We equal 0. We're fully factored. We take x minus 2/7 equal to 0. We take x minus 1/3 and equal it to 0. Yes, we were gonna do it. We were getting there. All right, so again, this is just a number and that's being subtracted. So to get x by itself, what would I be doing to that number? Adding it. It's just a number, 2/7. So therefore x equals 2/7. This is just a number being subtracted. What do I need to do? Add it. So therefore x equals 1/3. And that's the reciprocal. And you multiply by the reciprocal.
Oh, that's it?
Yes, that's what I just said. Why would you want to do what you just said?
Because it would just be.
I said I wouldn't stop you though, Z, if that's what your heart tells you to do. All right, we will pick up here tomorrow.